Hello and welcome to A Bold and Distant Future. We are starting a special series investigating the Dark Enlightenment. This should be a multi-part series. We're calling this series The Bright Endarkenment. So let's start with part 1 of The Bright Endarkenment.
Yeah, let's do a bit of blues. Interesting choice.
I knew that was going to be an interesting choice, but...
Tell us about the Dark Enlightenment. I'm confused.
We're birthing something.
I actually thought of renaming this segment to the Bright Endarkenment.
That's good.
Yeah, that's better. Yeah.
Seems to fit.
I like that.
So, I'm starting with this, which has virtually nothing to do with what I want to, show here, what I want to share. But this is kind of where we're going to end up, I think. The Dark Enlightenment has a big piece of this. I'll just read this just for fun. The most intelligent inhabitants of the future world won't be men or monkeys, they'll be machines. The remote descendants of today's computers, now the present-day electronic brains, are complete morons. But this will not be true in another generation. They will start to think, and eventually they will, and this is obscured by that stupid talking Eric thing. Outthink their makers. Is this depressing? I don't see why it should be. We superseded the Cro-Magnon and the Neanderthal man, and we presume we're an improvement. I think we should regard it as a privilege to be stepping stones to higher things. I suspect the organic or biological evolution has come to its end, and we're now at the beginning of the inorganic, which is kind of our endpoint, really. In the discussion of the Bright Endarkenment, that there is a lot that's being placed on this. Now, how we go from that to this is going to be a hell of a jump, but I'm hoping to get there through a few stages. Just to kind of paint a picture of where I want to go with this, I want to talk about the evangelical thing first, which is this first stream into what is now our populist authoritarian moment. And that includes concepts of dominionism, theonomy, and reconstructionism. Are you guys familiar with this?
No.
Because that helps me understand the depth in which I probably want to dive, which is not going to be too deep. This is just really an overview. But at the end of the day, that part of the evangelical Christian Protestant American movement that's Christian nationalist, kind of falls into two areas. The first one is dominionism, and the New Apostolic Movement is a part of that. And the second one is Reconstructionism, which includes the concept of a theonomy. And I have no idea if that's the correct pronunciation. Anyway, so here are a few characters that I think lend themselves well to this discussion. And we'll get into a couple of these, or at least one of these, in some degree of depth. But yeah, that's Paula White. That's Hegseth.
Doug Wilson? Is that Doug Wilson?
That's Doug Wilson. You know who that is? How do you know who that is?
He's Pete Hegseth's pastor. And that's Pat, what's his name? Pat Robertson?
Pat Robertson,
yes.
Who is really kind of the central figure in the development of dominionism. I'm not going to talk really much about the history of dominionism, and hence not at all about Pat Robertson, but just know that this thing has been around since the 70s.
What does it mean? Does it, in a sense, mean that white Christian men are going to rule the country and they should be ruling the country. It's
We'll get there.
Okay, that's what I'm trying to tie it together to the Dark Enlightenment.
But while we're speaking about dominionism specifically, dominionism comes out of the charismatic side of evangelicalism. You guys familiar with the charismatics?
Not
To a
really.
degree.
Would that mean that Billy Graham was the father of the charismatic movement?
Billy Graham has very little to do with the charismatic movement. The other name for charismatic is Pentecostal, if that helps. So these are the people that believe that miracles happen today, and they specifically happened when you got somebody like Pat Robertson or Paula White in the room. These are the people that speak in tongues of men and of angels, glossolalia. These are the people that believe in healing, spiritual healings. So it comes out of this revivalist stream of Christianity. Goes way back, but really took off in the early 20th century. It was founded, there was this big revival where everybody just kind of went into hysterics in Los Angeles, and out of that came the United Pentecostal Church, and then offshoots like Assemblies of God, Foursquare Church, and a few others. And there's a bunch of independent, charismatic churches out there. You really, really need to treat yourself to a visit to a Pentecostal church if you haven't been to one.
What happens
It's a
there?
carnival.
Okay. How does it play out when you visit a church like that?
It's just the sight of snake handling. I can't really describe it other than a huge part of what goes on in a charismatic church, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, is the achievement of a sort of ecstasy. I actually ascribe a lot of what happens in Pentecostalism to, Afro-Caribbean religion.
It's a trance state, the religious trance
you go into
state.
a trance state, and you essentially become possessed, albeit by the Holy Spirit.
And that's when they're sort of like dancing around in these herky-jerky ways. And
Yep.
yeah, I've seen video of that.
Yeah.
And I can't help but question how many times has this been played out in history of mankind in all our religious permutations. So, the nationalists are somehow indicating this as original, unique, truthful experience, when this is probably a repetition of patterns that we've seen again and again and again over 10, 15,000 years.
Well, every religion has something like this. The one that's probably doesn't so much is Judaism, but then if you've ever been to like a Shabbat Sabbath, they can get a little wild.
I can say that I was passed over once.
You're passed over once. But Islam has Sufism.
Yeah.
The Dharmic religions have their own versions of this. But in Christianity, kind of takes off.
Yeah.
And you can see the appeal. Typically, the people who go to charismatic churches are not like, Harvard grads. Although the person to the far right there, Pat Robertson, apparently was. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about. Let's jump into it. The dominionism depends or posits these seven mountains theology.
Right.
You familiar with this?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, I have seen this.
Right. So the idea is that people of faith, Christians, enter into these various endeavors and seek to claim them for Christ. The difference, I think, between this and what we're going to talk about in a moment is they're not actually subverting any of this so much as they're taking it over.
Right.
So religion, obviously, family is, a big, big factor in this. Growing people, profits, and purpose is got to be one of the most obnoxious things I've read in a very long time. Liberating the nations, well, we're busily doing that now. Doing good through sports and entertainment. I don't know what that looks like, but it's a big thing. Equipping the youth, that's scary. And creating kingdom platforms. I don't even know what that means. But apparently, once Christians enter into the media, they create a platform for kingdoms.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
you can see that playing out with corporate manifestation of all media now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the entertainment segment, I'm thinking of the Kennedy Center, because isn't Trump saying that he wants to shut it down for 2 years to remodel it? Mm-hmm. It's like maybe they're going to redo it in their own liking,
Well, maybe if the ballroom doesn't go forward, you can, build it there.
Mm-hmm.
Interestingly, I asked Siri if she could help me create a kingdom platform, and she brought up 3 things right away.
Mm.
Oh.
So, we've got access, kids.
We can create our own kingdom platform.
Wouldn't that be interesting?
So
let's see how many followers.
This is the plan, and this is what their main structure of operation is, that they're trying to infiltrate all these areas, huh? Wow.
Bold and distant future takes a tack to the right and garners followers like no one can believe.
And I hate.
And then we go about equipping our youth.
Yeah. Well, that gets into.
I'm sorry. I hate to be a broken record, but again, I see the anthropological pattern in our history. This is nothing new. It's just a refashioning of other hierarchical movements. So there's no real. My point, and maybe I should just be upfront with it now. We move from rational thinking beings into these realms of mythology and imaginary constructs, and then we build these enormous structures to support those, and we see them again and again and again if we can step back enough and see the patterns emerging. So with that, I won't continue my diatribe, but the parallelism is so pronounced in my initial viewing of this that it's obviously emotionally alarming to me.
Well, as you say, it's nothing new.
Yeah.
I mean, Catholics, which is my personal favorite flavor of Christianity. Catholics have been doing this for 2,000 years.
Yeah.
The Orthodox do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's just American Protestantism is fairly late to the game, and they're diving in with both feet and not learning any lessons from the previous attempts.
Yeah, absolutely right. Thank you.
Yeah.
The interesting thing to think about in that sense is how large these churches are.
Yeah, huge.
You asked if anyone had been to one, and I went because Anna's brother was part of one, and they had a service for him, and it was like, this is a church built for 15,000 people. It's insane.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mega churches tend to be a big part of this. It has influence that goes beyond just the Christian nationalists.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these people take this as an article of faith. Their politics are there by influence, but that does not necessarily mean that they are politically, what's the word I'm looking for? Doesn't mean that this necessarily would be their default politics.
Mm-hmm.
But by dint of the fact that pastor is up there saying we've got to take over government in order to liberate the nations, and then, heals somebody and everybody speaks in tongues, it creates a powerful package.
Yeah. Especially if it's ecstasy or orgasm based.
Yeah, I won't go so far as to say orgasm. I think trance is closer to it.
Trance, okay, yeah.
I tend not to orgasm into trances. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah.
If I could turn it around, if I could trance myself into an orgasm, that would be wild.
I was just thinking about that.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting rabbit hole. Shall we continue?
Yes.
I was thinking of continuing down the rabbit hole, but okay. So our job is to reclaim America, whatever the cost. So this is essentially the best explanation of dominionism I was able to come up with.
Why do both of these images look so Roman?
Did we lose Scooter?
I'm right here. I'm actually pondering the question.
Okay.
Why do these look so Roman? That's a famous painting. I just don't know who did it and why suddenly they have talking bubbles. But there they are. All right. Every aspect and institution of human society is the target for godly dominion, and that's part of our job to reclaim America, regardless of the cost. And that leads us to a very brief introduction to the New Apostolic Reformation. This is an actual movement. It has an actual name. People identify as part of this. I have no idea who those people are. The guy on the left kind of scares me a bit.
The guy on the left is wearing fake dreads, man. He's bald. That's a hat.
Yeah, you're right. It is, yeah. Wow.
What the hell?
Yeah, you're right. In camouflage color or pattern? Yeah.
Yeah, you bet.
Wow.
Yeah, sort of a surfer reggae dominionist look.
With a pencil-thin mustache.
God, he is weird looking.
Yeah.
I noticed the absence of any women there, so it's...
None of them are wearing crosses.
I think the guy in the center, I'm not sure. I don't want to say this absolutely, but I think that might be Benny Hinn.
I don't know.
Familiar with him?
No.
He's a charlatan. He's been exposed multiple times. He does a lot of healings, that sort of thing. He slays people in the spirit, which is a trip. If you want to get slayed in the spirit, what you do is you go up to Benny Hinn and he knocks you over.
Cool.
So the founder, really, of the whole New Apostolic Reformation is this guy, Peter Wagner. I don't know if he pronounces his name like that. Probably Peter Wagner. He's a charismatic Christian. He is a prophet, along with Cindy Jacobs, who is part of the Apostolic Council of Prophetic Elders.
Wow.
If you guys are, looking for an interesting business card, that would be it.
Yeah.
Prophetic elders.
Mm-hmm.
Well, she's the first woman that we've seen really in a sort of a leadership role here, which I'm interested in what Craig said, the lack of any women.
Oh, women play a fairly big part of this. We already mentioned Paula White.
Oh, right, yeah.
But as we'll see, they're not they're still kind of a minority status. So she's a fervent supporter of Donald Trump. She cited prophets who predicted that Trump would be called by God to take over the United States government and that he would be anointed. So this is where this whole kind of, I don't know what, sanctification
Of Trump.
of American conservatism comes in.
Yeah, right.
Oh, I see.
So it's not just that you're a conservative as opposed to a liberal. It's that you are the righteous as opposed to the wicked.
Yeah.
I think Diddy was going to anoint Trump because he had all that baby oil.
Yeah.
So
That's
we've seen
what
this.
nonsense
I've
is.
seen this.
Yeah.
We've all seen it. I think Roy actually posted a picture, either of this or a picture very close to this, similar
Yeah.
picture. But yeah, you see a few women in there, not a lot, but there's a few. And then you see a cornucopia of assholes. And along those lines, here's who several of them are. I'm going to read through all of this. I'm just going to put this here and let you read this at your leisure. But this should give you a sense.
What's amazing about the photograph, I'm sorry, is the only person not in prayer, of course, is Trump. He's the only one without head bowed. How false.
It's if
he has his eyes closed.
Yeah, it's like as if they're touching him as he's some kind of sacred, king god or whatever.
It's the idolatry, not the importance of the prayer. Yeah.
Well, this is hands-on anointing. They do this.
Mm-hmm.
They will stick their hand on you, and then they'll do an intercessory prayer for you.
Mm-hmm.
And they pray really hard, as you can tell by the guy on the left.
Yeah.
It's serious prayer going on.
Has this happened before? Have we had any presidents ever? I always think about the separation of church and state, and this just seems to go way over the line,
Yeah.
There's a bit of this with George W. Bush.
Oh.
Really sort of there was a bit of it with Reagan, less so with Bush Sr. so far as I recall. Reagan was pretty intensely into this shit. But yeah, it took off with George W. Bush. I even saw a sticker once, the fish sticker that signifies that you're a Christian. Well, there was one of those metal kind of sticker things you stick on the back of your car.
Right.
And it's instead of Jesus, it said Bush.
And it wasn't ironic or they meant it, huh? Wow.
No, that actually was the thing, and that's carried over. For some reason, every time a Republican gets into the Oval Office, suddenly he's anointed. Doesn't work the other way around. So I'll just pick one. Travis Johnson, we came in here in the power of the Holy Spirit and in the name of Jesus. We didn't come to make a splash. We came in to take over. So I think that speaks for itself and probably speaks for everybody here. So the other thing that these guys are into is something called spiritual warfare. The best example of what this looks like is this movie. Have you guys seen it? Jesus Camp?
I have not.
Please avail yourself of the opportunity to watch this movie. I even put a little, URL down there at the bottom. It's on YouTube, and I have YouTube Premium, so I don't know if I'm getting it for free, and you guys have to pay, assuming you don't have Premium. But either way, watch this movie. This is bizarre. Spiritual warfare literally believes that we are in a battle with Satan. And what they do is they have this youth camp in which they're teaching this concept of spiritual warfare to the point where they get the kids to dress up in camo and tote around fake guns. And in order to demonstrate, pardon me, that they're warriors. They also do the same anointing thing we just saw with Trump, with a large cardboard cutout of George W. Bush. They all come up and lay their hands on this cutout and, rebuke Satan on behalf of Bush. In fact, they spend an awful lot of time rebuking Satan. If I parenthetically, I think the biggest Satanists, believers in Satan, are these guys.
Yeah.
If Satanists didn't exist, these guys would do just fine. They literally walk around this empty auditorium and they pray over the seats to rebuke Satan.
It's a weird form of mind control and indoctrination of children. It just seems so horrible.
It is fairly horrific.
What state is this happening in? Do you know what state this is? Not that
I'm
that
just going to
matters.
guess Idaho.
Right.
I honestly
Right.
don't know.
Right.
But
It's
it's. I mean, you can see they get these kids into this state, right? Where they're essentially just open to anything, and then they start infusing politics. They pull politics in a very deep way. So when we're talking politics, what are we talking about? We're talking feminism. We're talking LGBTQ plus rights. We're talking abortion. We're talking, what else are we talking about? Well, that's basically what we're talking about, the family values thing, the traditional values thing. But just real quick, I just want to emphasize, this is not racist. There are black kids in that group. There may be Hispanic. There are Hispanic kids in that group.
Watch how this tiny thing removes all mold from my musty base.
What the hell?
Someone's commercial. It wasn't me.
That's okay. All right, so enough on that. Watch this documentary if you want to understand spiritual
It's like
warfare.
brainwashing, but they open them up to the spiritual, experience, a trance state, and break them basically, and then fill them up with what they want, and it just seems horrible. God.
It is all of that and more. They've done, and I haven't watched it yet, but somebody did interviews. I mean, these kids are all grown up now. Then some guy did interview with all of these kids. Interviews with all these kids. Kid at the bottom right-hand corner is now advocate for LGBTQA rights.
Right. So
for example.
So he's come out the other end and, had to,
But, yeah, you have to go through this whole ex-evangelical thing, which is, let me tell you, because I kind of went through it myself, isn't easy.
Yeah.
You're basically leaving a cult.
Right. It's like deprogramming, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so that, and now it gets weird. So you already named this guy, Roy.
Yeah, Doug Wilson. I know he's the sort of the spiritual father for Pete Hegseth, and he's spoken with him, before.
Oh, it gets better than that. Here, let me just do one quick... You'll notice he's missing from this picture.
He's not there.
Doug Wilson is not there, and there's a good reason for that. Doug Wilson is a Calvinist. He's part of the Reformed tradition. And that's about as far away from charismatic as you can get and still be within the fold. Very, very intellectual, but is part of this system that itself could be described as totalitarian. Pardon me. So Reconstructionism looks to recreate what would essentially be Calvinist Geneva in the United States. Theonomy is ruled by the Old Testament law. So what he proposes is to reconstruct the United States from the ground up. Now, that makes them different from the Dominionists. The Dominionists want to take over. This guy wants to destroy and rebuild. And he wants to rebuild America as a theocracy. And as you pointed out, one of his acolytes is Hegseth.
Define destroy.
Does this help? Wilson at the Pentagon. He's a public proponent of postmillennialism, which we don't have to talk about, Christian nationalism, covenant theology, biblical patriarchy. Then, in partial answer to your question, he's a self-described paleo-Confederate, as opposed to a neo-Confederate. New Confederate. He's old Confederate. He describes his politics as similar to the right of Jeb Stuart. He sees slavery as a positive good insofar as genuine affection between the races existed. So, yeah, what does he want to destroy? He wants to destroy the Union. How's that?
In the sense that he wants one centralized power that controls all the states and all the land?
Well, Paleo-Confederate suggests that he's probably, he wants to decentralize. He doesn't believe in an autocratic center of power.
There's an interesting book about this because, and I haven't read it, but Valeria has, and she kept giving me not just quotes but paragraphs while she was reading, and it talks about the United States being divided up by political region, and we are the left coasters here on this side of the world. Scooter, I don't know where you fall, but I want to say they believe it should be divided up into 7 regions. I might be wrong about that. It might be higher than that.
We are the Midwest deadbeats.
I like that. I will find the title of the book and send it out to our link.
Well, really, Minnesota kind of stands out for the fact that it's as blue as it is.
Wait a minute. Oops.
Is that all right?
Valeria's going to text it to me.
Perfect. Yeah, that'd be great. But, okay, so point being is that this guy is seriously right-wing. I mean, to the point where he's almost Klan. And he's speaking at the Pentagon in the last 3 months.
Yeah, those are the photographs I've seen of them two side by side, and I thought it was a government podium he was standing at. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, he's getting his message out to exactly the right people. So, what about Calvinism? You ask. Somebody asks.
Yeah, because I was curious. You were mentioning Calvinism, Calvinist Geneva. Is that the origin of Calvinism in Europe? Geneva?
Well, John Calvin would be the origin of Calvinism in Europe, and he, if I remember correctly, got kicked out of France, ended up in Geneva, and managed to garner a huge amount of influence to the point where he became essentially the eminence grise behind the government. So his thinking, his institutes of the Christian religion became the bedrock for governance. And to that point, I'm actually going to read this if you don't mind.
Please.
Now that the government is in your hands, he says to Jean, who speaks French in the group? How do you pronounce that?
I don't.
Jean de Aldray, the Queen of Navarre. I probably murdered that.
No, you think you got it pretty close. I can interject here, gentlemen. There's 11 distinct districts within the United States. The book is called American Nations, A History of the 11 Rival Regional Cultures in North America by Colin Woodard.
Maybe we could post a link or a copy of the book or something to this podcast, right? And maybe that's our next little podcast subject. Perhaps next week we could do something on that. So now that the government is in your hands, God will test your zeal and fidelity. You now have an obligation to purge your lands of idolatry by taking into consideration the difficulties which can hold you back, the fears and doubts that sap courage. And I do not doubt that your advisor, if they look to this world, will try to stop you. I know that the arguments advance through to prove the princes that... I've got this thing obscuring... I know the arguments advance to prove that princes should not force their subjects to lead a Christian life. But all kingdoms which do not serve that of Jesus Christ are ruins. So judge for yourself. I do not say that all can be done in a day. So he's basically saying that a kingdom that does not enforce Christian law and jurisprudence and ethics, that kingdom will fail. And along those lines, that's John Calvin at the leftmost there, and right next to him is Cotton Mather, whose grave I once had the opportunity to piss upon. Not a fan.
I don't know that. I've never heard of him.
Cotton Mather was instrumental in the Salem witch trials.
Oh, okay.
Basically, what he did is Salem began to get tired of killing all its women. So he showed up and kind of enforced the laws against witchcraft and went deep into the burning times. That guy is a mass murderer. Then there's John Knox, the skinny-looking guy.
Yeah, I've heard the name. I don't know him.
He is the founder of Presbyterianism. He's a strong Calvinist. He was a rigorous, intense anti-Catholic. He's probably should have put Cromwell in there instead of Knox. That would have been better. But he founded the Scottish Reformed Church, which essentially is Presbyterianism. And he had his own kind of theonomy going. Then the last guy is, of course, Joseph Crackstone. And you all know who he is, I'm sure.
I don't know him.
You don't know Joseph Crackstone?
Nope.
He's the villain in the first season of Wednesday.
Oh. Interesting.
Wednesday is forced to go to school. It is a school for outcasts, people with all of these special abilities, right? She has psychic abilities. There are other people there who there's a siren who can convince you to do anything by the sound of her voice. There's a kid who's a gorgon who has snakes for hair and will turn you into stone if you look at him. Stuff like that. So this guy is committed to eradicating outcasts because they are an anathema and sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? Blasphemers by sheer existence. So I figured he belonged here. Guys aren't watching Wednesday. You should watch Wednesday. It's Tim Burton.
I need to look at it.
Yeah. Tim Burton does nothing wrong.
Does that mean I got to get a TV?
Well, you should have at least access to Netflix. Whether that's a TV or not, it's up to you. So, what is theonomy? Theonomy is a political theological movement that advocates for the implementation of Old Testament civil laws in modern governments based on the belief that divine law should govern society. It's often associated with Christian Reconstructionism and has been influenced by figures like R.J. Rushdoony. You can read the rest of this at your leisure. Because I want to make a jump into R.J. Rushdoony.
Oh, wow.
R.J. Rushdoony, for all intents and purposes, is pretty much the intellectual founder of Reconstructionism. He's best known, well, let's just jump down here. Actually, I don't want to read any of this. Read this at your leisure. But he was a prolific writer. He wrote something called the Institutes of Biblical Law. Solid Calvinist. The Institutes of Biblical Laws play on Calvinists, tome, the Institutes of Christian Religion. This is in 3 volumes. Each volume is about 1,000 pages long. And if you want to jump into the first one, there's the URL at the top of the page.
Was he an American?
Interesting. He was Armenian.
Oh, wow.
And I believe that he came to the United States. Either he was born to refugees from Armenia, or he himself was a refugee from Armenia during the after the genocide. They made their way here for very good reason. And somehow or other, he ended up a Calvinist, and he went way, way, way deep into it, to the point where he extols the Ten Commandments and, now let's go back for a second, and the law as a whole, Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy, and Numbers. He extols the Ten Commandments as the law of all society, not merely historical, but modern as well, and that these books. And are you familiar with the law, the Torah?
No, I am not.
All right. So when we're talking
Testament.
about these, yes, very much Old Testament. These are part of the 5 books of the Torah. And these are where you get those really weird laws that, if you take the shank bone of a lamb into the tent on a Tuesday, you have to sacrifice a pigeon and turn around 3 times.
Yeah, these are old, very antiquated concepts. But
now I know where I screwed up.
You shouldn't have had that shank bone with you. So he's old school.
Oh yeah, he is definitely old school. So let's see what's important here. He envisions a society in which civil governance is directly guided by biblical principles and underpinned by a Christian worldview. In this theocratic model, religious and political authority would be closely intertwined with civil laws derived explicitly from Bible teachings.
So his condemnation of the modern judicial system, he would revamp it to be some kind of religious court, rather than legal.
Think Taliban.
You're right. Exactly. Yeah. Wow.
All right. So this is the guy, circling back, who's influenced Wilson. So when you see Hegseth and you see this guy at the Pentagon, this is where he's coming from. Here are a few key quotes from Rushdoony. All men are not created equal before God. The facts of heaven and hell, election and reprobation make clear that they are not equal. Moreover, an employer has property rights to prefer whom he will in terms of color, creed, race, or national origin. And I assume that should end with higher. But that's the quote. So, biblical law permits voluntary slavery because it recognizes that some people are not able to maintain a position of independence. The law is humane and also unsentimental. It recognizes that some people are by nature slaves and will always be. Christianity is completely and radical anti-democratic, and this is a key point. This is probably the one thing that kind of connects all the various threads of the Bright endarkenment.
Right.
It is committed to spiritual aristocracy. Christianity and democracy are inevitably enemies.
My brief, superficial reading of Curtis Yarvin, it alluded to some of this. The kind of normalization of slavery again, that some people just don't deserve to make their own choices.
Oh, it's a thread, and it'll appear again. So that's fun. So what does this look like in practice? Let's just take the death penalty. Who gets the death penalty according to Reconstructionism, according to Rushdoony, and by extension Wilson? Here's a list, the usual things, murder, rape, etc. But you can also get the death penalty for striking a parent, cursing a parent. You can get it for sorcery and witchcraft, adultery, incest, homosexuality. You can get killed for cursing God, for blasphemy, for tempting people to idolatry, whatever that is, Rebellion against appropriate authority gives you the death penalty. Rebellion against parents. And everybody's favorite, fornication. So it's a real load that they're carrying, that they're intending to impose if they get their way. And my point being is they now have inroads into the current administration. It's not just Hegseth, there's others as well.
Right.
But between this and the Dominionists, we have a situation that could end up looking very much like this.
Wow.
So that's the proposed future right there.
This is such a huge topic, and I have so many questions, but the thread you have followed through to today's administration is amazing in it.
Yeah, I think I would like to see this as a very short serialization. I'm envisioning perhaps maybe 3 or 4 more of these.
So far, this has been great and super valuable, I think, for myself.
Well, I can tell you what I'm thinking of doing next. This should be fun. So we're looking at the Christian, the evangelical side. I propose next to look at the pagan side. Because there's a lot there, too. So that gets into the Hermetic traditions. It gets into something called traditionalism. I mentioned last week, I think.
Right.
And how that plays into this, because it plays a role as well. The one I want to do after that is paleo-libertarianism / paleo-conservatism, and the one I want to do after that is the tech bros. What do you think?
Sounds fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, it does, because it really then encompasses all of human history and all of human potential. Yeah, love it.
Okay.
Thank you for visiting our channel, A Bold and Distant Future, and please like and subscribe. Thank you very much.